I've worked on the SCP Foundation for years and helped to hide the most impossible and dangerous things. Now, I think it's time for the world to know the truth. Among the many entities once kept behind Foundation walls, a few possess a danger so subtle, yet so absolute, that traditional containment procedures fail to account for them. This is a creature whose presence is not marked by aggression or by sound, but by a single gaze and a death sentence that follows. For decades it remained confined only by circumstance and by rules not fully understood, until it was documented and classified as one of the Foundation's most unnerving anomalies. SCP-023, the Black Shuck. SCP-023 was first encountered following a string of unexplained deaths near a rural highway intersection. Survivors described sightings of a large black canine standing at the center of a deserted crossroads late at night. Foundation field agents secured the entity after multiple civilian disappearances and incidents of spontaneous internal combustion among witnesses. Standard containment proved ineffective. SCP-023 displayed the ability to pass through solid material, rendering walls, doors, and even reinforced enclosures meaningless. It was only after months of trial and error that researchers discovered one critical behavioral trait. SCP-023 cannot resist remaining near a four-way intersection. Unlike most hostile entities, SCP-023 does not pursue targets. It does not chase, it does not attack. Instead, it observes. Any individual who establishes direct eye contact with SCP-023 becomes subject to an anomalous, fatal event. Victims do not die immediately. Death follows precisely 1 calendar year after initial exposure. Autopsy reports on deceased subjects reveal catastrophic internal burn damage, bones and organs reduced to ash, while external tissues remain largely untouched. This phenomenon occurs regardless of distance, location, or any preventative measures taken. Attempts at amnestic treatments, relocation, or psychological intervention all resulted in failure. The countdown begins. The moment SCP-023's gaze is met, SCP-023 exerts additional effects on its surroundings. Within areas it inhabits for prolonged periods, surfaces begin showing signs of accelerated decay. Paint peels from walls. Metal rusts at an unnatural rate. Concrete crumbles as though aged by decades of neglect in mere days. Living organisms in proximity, primarily small mammals and insects, experience sudden cell death and tissue disintegration. Foundation personnel stationed near SCP-023 were required to rotate assignments every 48 hours to prevent long-term exposure. Following multiple breaches, the Crossroads Containment Protocol was established. SCP-023's containment chamber was reconstructed with intersecting hallways, forming a permanent four-way intersection within the facility. This spatial arrangement effectively immobilized the entity, limiting its phase-shifting behavior and keeping it within visual range at all times. Security teams monitored the chamber around the clock from remote locations using non-reflective glass and direct line-of-sight protocols. No reflective surfaces, no glass, mirrors, or polished metals were permitted within 30 meters of the chamber. Additionally, Foundation regulations mandated that no personnel were to make direct eye contact with SCP-023 under any circumstances. In an early and controversial containment experiment, a research team attempted to surgically remove SCP-023's eyes and teeth, believing this would neutralize its anomalous properties. The procedure failed catastrophically. Within hours of the operation, SCP-023 dematerialized from its chamber at sunset. It reappeared several miles away, standing at a major road intersection. Disturbingly, multiple sets of glass eyes were later found melted and fused into the walls of its former containment area, despite no glass materials being present prior to the incident. Foundation Command classified the event as a Level 3 containment failure. Since then, all physical interference with SCP-023 has been prohibited. Observation logs reveal that SCP-023 remains largely inactive during daylight hours, showing minimal movement or interaction. Its behavior changes abruptly after sunset. The entity becomes increasingly mobile within its containment area, pacing along corridor intersections and often positioning itself near doors or observation points. Personnel stationed in adjacent monitoring rooms frequently report an overwhelming sense of being watched. Even when direct surveillance confirms SCP-023 remains stationary. There is no recorded instance of the entity vocalizing, growling, or making any audible sound. Debate continues regarding the true nature of SCP-023. Some Foundation researchers have drawn connections to European folklore, particularly legends of the Black Shuck, a phantom dog believed to haunt crossroads and foretell death. Others suspect SCP-023 operates as a type of metaphysical predator, one that feeds not on flesh, but on human fate itself. The 1-year delay between exposure and death raises additional questions. Is SCP-023 bound by some unknown ritualistic law? Or is the delay deliberate? A slow psychological execution, allowing fear and dread to erode victims long before the final moment? Attempts to test these theories remain classified or discontinued due to ethical concerns. As of the last Foundation report, SCP-023 remains contained under strict Crossroads protocol at site. No personnel are permitted to enter its chamber without Level 4 clearance and a direct containment override order. Eye contact remains forbidden, and surveillance continues, quietly documenting the movements of a predator that doesn't chase, doesn't hunt. It simply waits. And when the time comes, it takes what was promised, as it always has.